October 9th, 2023, regular City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, Council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you're participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to all attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located directly in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Robert's Rules of Order is a parliamentary authority for council meetings under Wasilla Municipal Code 204090. Under this authority, I respectfully request council observe the following. Number 1, kindly seek recognition before speaking. Number 2, that no member speaks more than twice on the same motion without an affirmative vote on a motion to suspend the rules. Number 3, that no member speaks a second time until everyone who wishes to do so has spoken once. The purpose of recognizing these rules is to ensure the right to speak is equally respected and that discussion is not dominated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Sullivan-Leonard.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Vlock.
Here.
Councilmember Rubio.
Here.
We do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are participating here in council chambers except Brown, who is telephoning.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Chief Rapson, would you lead us?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are requested, are there conflicts of interest to declare?
Madam Mayor?
Colleen.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. If you will indulge me, I'd like to declare a conflict of interest with regard to Ordinance Serial Number 23-22. My husband is presently assisting our Finance Department with work that needs to continue with auditing and other provisions under the Finance CFO. And therefore, I would ask Council that you allow me to recuse myself from voting on this particular ordinance. Thank you.
Are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Madam Mayor, on the consent agenda, I'd like to pull item 8.2.1 and 8.4.1. It's a new business.
Is there any other changes? Hearing none, is there an objection to the motion? The agenda is approved as amended. We are now at special orders of the day. There's one proclamation that I will now read aloud. City of Wasilla Proclamation honoring Alaska Day. Whereas on March 29, 1867, U.S. Secretary of State William Henry Seward and the Russian minister to the U.S. completed the treaty that ceded Alaska to the United States. And whereas on March 30th, 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia for the sum of $7.2 million, approximately 2 cents per acre. And whereas the official transfer of land occurred on October 18, 1867 in Sitka, with a ceremony that included 250 U.S. troops, 100 Russian troops, and the raising of the American flag for the first time over the Alaskan territory. And whereas Alaska's territorial legislature declared Alaska Day a holiday in 1917, and whereas Alaska Day was first celebrated in 1949 with the unveiling of a bronze statue named the Prospector, which still stands as a tribute to Alaska's pioneers. And whereas this important moment in our state's history laid the foundation for Alaska's advancement as an official portion of the United States of America, which did not formally occur for another 92 years, with Alaska gaining statehood January 3rd, 1959. And whereas October 18th, 2023 marks the 156th anniversary of the formal transfer of Alaska from the Russian Empire to the United States of America. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of the City of Wasilla, do hereby proclaim October 18th, 2023 as Alaska Day in Wasilla, and ask all to join me in commemorating the date Alaska joined the United States, dated this 9th day of October 2023. Okay, we are now at Commission and Agencies Reports. Deputy Administrator Nygaard will report on the Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a Planning Commission meeting on September 26th, and it was relatively short for a planning meeting. We did hear from a resident who requested a variance for 14.6 feet from a required 25-foot rear. It was a setback issue, and the Planning Commission unanimously denied that. So the lesson we learned is make sure before anybody builds in the city that they check the setbacks.
Okay, thank you. And now, Wasilla High School Student Representative. Would you begin by please stating your first and last name?
Riley Pitney. Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council members. My name is Riley Pitney, Student Body Vice President, and I wanted to share a few things happening at Wasilla High School. Our first season of flag football, combined with Reddington, is officially over, and many coaches have complimented our athletes in growing and learning a new game. Our tennis team won regions and attended their first state tournament this past weekend. Out of 12 teams, they won the Scholar Awards with an unweighted GPA of 3.95. 3 students qualified for All-State Choir, and student government is headed to Fairbanks this weekend for OSOG. In the CTE department, we started the Kubota Mechanic program. We received 3 pro bono pieces of equipment that are the most highly purchased non-commercial items: a tractor backhoe, side-by-side, and mower. We also have 2 staff members to highlight. Robin Lockwood was nominated as one of 2 finalists for the Presidential Awards for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching for Alaska. And Karen Bloxam is presenting at the Principals Conference this week in Anchorage as the 2023 Assistant Principal of the Year. Overall, we have a few school-wide goals to share. We are working towards increasing our graduation rate by 1% from 93%, which is 13% above the state average. We are working towards increasing CTE certifications by 10% and should be meeting it by semester. We have met our goal of increasing AP offerings as we added AP Government and AP Research. Finally, the finishing touches of the beautification project are in the works. The concrete art of the river has been completed, and we are just waiting for a few more benches. We welcome everyone to come visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. There are 2 ordinance scheduled for public hearing this evening. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First public hearing, ordinance serial number 2321, amending Wasilla Municipal Code 385-010B, scope to designate the position of city planner as confidential managerial.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 2321 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person.
Good evening, Mayor Ledford and City Council members. My name is Danielle Bischoff. This ordinance presented today looks like a very small change, just a simple 1-line addition to code, but this 1 line of code could have very big impact on the city's operations. In my opinion, the adoption of this ordinance without more thought, discussion, and information and fleshing out all of the details is ill-advised. According to the most recent city organizational chart that I was able to locate online, planning falls under public works. I have not heard an explanation as to why it was not moved back from under the deputy administrator to public works. If the current structure isn't working, why isn't it working? What Why would it not work to go back to how it previously was? And how will the proposed change rectify whatever issue exists? Technical positions such as the city engineer and city planner are not appointed positions, and in my opinion, should remain as such. If this is the right move for the city, why wait until this position sits vacant to implement this change? Perhaps the timing is coincidental, but I would encourage administration to consult with planners and/or other cities to be sure that the new structure does not have unintended consequences, as they currently have no planner to discuss this with directly. Every person sitting in front of me knows that the city planner is a role that can ruffle some feathers. It is a role that requires the planner to follow the code to a T to prevent any perception of favoritism. Some might not like the code, but we all want to see it enforced across the board in a consistent manner. The duty of a public servant is to ensure that there is equal and fair treatment. Stability in planning and equal and fair treatment is critical in the continued growth and development in the city. It takes time to change the code and planning documents. Although that can be frustrating, it creates an environment where businesses and developers know what to expect. Placing the city planner directly under the mayor creates a perception of conflict and interest in instability. Keeping the planner under a director does not take away a mayor's ability to have and move their vision for the city forward, but rather allows both parties to do the work they need without the appearance of any ethical compromises. I do not know how many times I've made this statement, but I'll make it here again today. If you don't like the planning code being enforced, change the code, not the person. It is the planner's duty to uphold the law. Give them the tools that they need. So before you start making other changes, why not evaluate what the actual problem is and if there is any? If the council believes moving forward that the city planner should be a director role, I would encourage you to still delay the adoption of this ordinance. Evaluate the organizational structure as a whole and the fiscal implications. I know the ordinance states that there is no fiscal implication, but I believe there should be, or at least more information should be provided as why there isn't. The limited information provided as to why this change should occur and lack of supporting documentation does not give you, the city council, what you need to make an educated decision. I urge you not to approve this ordinance tonight. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Please begin by stating your first and last name, and you will have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Tina Crawford, and as you are aware, up until September 1st, I served as a city planner for the city for 13 years. It was a privilege and an honor, and I enjoyed it immensely. I apologize for coming in with late comments that I emailed to all of you. I just became aware of it because I'd been out of state. I know you have a lot of information in your package, so I'll just try and summarize it in a nutshell. There's some background and information. This position, actually I'll back up just a second. Ms. Bischoff stole a lot of my information, so I won't repeat what she says, but I do agree with everything that she stated, so I won't be redundant. This position has always been a classified salaried position since its inception, and there's a reason for that. It's to provide that checks and balance. There's a common misperception about this position that this position creates policy and interprets code, where in actuality what it does is it implements code and ensures that permits are consistent with the code that this city council approves and adopts through the public hearing process. So that's always been a contention with this particular role, and I think that may be some of the drivers between thinking you reclassify the position and it'll take care of the issue. There are plenty other manager roles in the city that have confidential access to confidential information, supervise employees, and that kind of thing. Just for example, the HR manager, the IT manager, the MatCom manager. So to just pull this one particular position in at this time without fully vetting that issue doesn't appear appropriate. There was also a comment made that all employees are at-will employees unless you're a union represented employee. And I find that inconsistent with the Title III provisions that have grievance and disciplinary action provisions within them. That's some of the protections that will be taken away from this position if it is reclassified to a confidential managerial at-will position. What that does is it creates a negative perception from your public, from your residents, your developers, that instead of their permit approvals being based on code compliance, that it now could be influenced by favoritism or some other inequitable measure versus a standard consistent application of the codes that are vetted through the Planning Commission and adopted by the City Council with public input. That is a requirement in the comprehensive plan, is to encourage that public input. Setting this up as an at-will position unfortunately sends that negative message and that perception. We all know perception's reality, and it's hard for government to overcome that stigma of not being trustworthy to your residents. Like I said, by taking it away, it takes away that protection from being treated as a classified employee and having grievance and disciplinary appeal processes. And that is my time. So I recommend against adoption as presented.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify at this time? Hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 23-21?
Madam Mayor, I move ordinance serial number 23-21.
Is there a second?
Rubio, second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Colleen Sullivan-Leonard and seconded by Councilmember Elena Rubio to adopt ordinance serial number 2321. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Colleen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess I'd like to hear from our administration, specifically our Deputy Administrator, just with regard to the change in this particular position, kind of the reasoning and the effect that you wish to see with the change in this position.
Thank you, Sullivan-Leonard, through the Mayor to Sullivan-Leonard. So this amends the current code as it states here in the ordinance, and really it updates the code to reflect proper classification for the confidential managerial role fulfilled by the planner. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that we're growing, and we're growing very fast. We're trying to size what little land we have to meet the needs of all the residents. And a lot of this information, as you've heard in the testimonies today, is very confidential. There was a time this last week, we had 4 developers lined up outside the hallway asking, why is he here? Why is she there? What are they doing? Why are they doing this? So it's very important for the confidentiality to happen, and a lot of their decisions really ripple through the rest of the city because development includes public works, it includes finance, it includes code compliance. There is just really a need to collaborate with the whole team. And we've learned through a lot of these pre-apps the last year that developers only tell you what they only tell you what they want to tell you, not to get all the information that we need. So they need to be in these conversations in the very beginning and share with the administration on a continual basis the challenges that we're having with all the growth that's happening right now.
Yes.
Okay, Madam Mayor, if I could follow up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And there's no change with regard to salary, is that correct? It's just kind of a lateral move?
Correct.
Is that what we're considering?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would the city attorney weigh in on this, please?
So as far as the change goes, it is bringing it into the classified stack of positions you have here. Most of what the testimony was about are policy arguments that I'm not going to necessarily respond to. It's not the role of the city attorney to respond to whether it's a good or bad move. I can say as to the salary, the finance director did weigh in on the salary, and there had been a 2021 study of salaries, city salaries done, and it was found that the city planner was in the appropriate bracket range at that point in time. So that was why there was no associated pay change with just reclassifying the position into this particular list of positions with the city. Aside from that, if you have specific questions, I'm happy to weigh in on them, but I don't want to get into too much of a policy discussion on behalf of.
Thank you. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Johnson?
So as I understand the ordinance, then this position would report directly to you, is that correct?
According to the code, the city planner would either be under me or under the mayor or under the deputy administrator.
Madam Mayor, and a follow-on question, what would determine the "or" in your sentence then? Would that be your discretion?
Some of it would be my discretion, yes. It would, you know, it depends on a workload. Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the purpose of this ordinance is to designate the position as a managerial position. The city planner, that office hardly falls into the description of managers. When we look at the chief of police, we have 39 folks in your department, 34 folks in your department, rec services director, 20 some odd people working for you, finance director, public works director. The city planner is a supervisor. She supervises the process that's laid out in the code. She identifies problem issues laid out in the code, and she supervises one other person in her department. That's hardly what I would call a manager. So what we're really doing here is we're moving the process of planning underneath the mayor's office, which is where I don't think it belongs. You know, the process of planning was in its proper position when it was with Public Works. Due to some issues, it was moved over, to be under the administration through the deputy administrator, but the manager of planning is really the public works director, because he or she is the person that needs to ensure that the work that is being done by the city or by private parties, which is the majority of what the city planner deals with, is in accordance with the code and does not conflict with other things happening in the city. So that, number one, this is not a managerial position and should not be considered as a managerial position. As far as being a confidential position, the planner has always had access to confidential material. I think I've been on the council 8 years now, and I've never heard an issue or a concern about confidential information being shared from the city planner's office. I don't think that's an issue, and I'm not familiar with the job description for the city planner, but most of what we're talking about can be handled through a job description. So maybe we just need a job description review to bring things into focus. I mean, if there is a concern about confidentiality, let's make sure that the job description specifically defines that, and I believe it does at this point. But once again, I think this is just taking a supervisory position and putting it under the discretion of the mayor, and I have to agree with the folks that have testified that there is no need for the mayor to be supervising or to be in a daily contact with the planning, where the planner is in fear of his or her job because the mayor is in control there. There's no reason that anybody should think that the mayor could exercise that type of authority or that type of influence over the planner, whose job is to implement and advise on the city code, and then to make sure that the city code is followed. So I can't think of a single good reason to move forward with this ordinance. The city planner's job is a supervisor job, supervising process and supervising one person. That is not a manager's job, and the function of the city planner should not be the focus of the city planner should not be determined by the administration. Thank you.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yeah, I think maybe we need more information. I think, you can have a director that doesn't even have employees reporting to them. I worked at MTA for 30 years, so I just try to, we were very corporate, but we did have directors who were in charge of, inside plant engineering, and they were a director. So I guess we just need to know maybe more clearly what the benefits are. I don't see a problem, say, with the planner reporting to the mayor or the deputy administrator. I don't see how that would, why the mayor would be swaying to waive a permit or not. I mean, there's still policies, there's still guidelines, that means everyone should be worried about that. Every director should be worried that the mayor's going to make me do something and I'm going to lose my job. I just think that is not a good angle. I just don't see that part at all. But I think maybe we do need more information on why this change is good, why this change isn't good. And I think just saying that they're afraid they're going to get fired, they could do the grievance process. Like I said, I was in management for 30 years. We had employees that you didn't have to do a grievance process, that you could just be let go. But if you do want to get rid of somebody, I'm sorry, you can do the grievance process. If you want rid of them, it's not that hard. And I supervise union people too. Union people, it is a lot more structured than managers. But I don't think we should not do the change just because we're afraid of getting fired. That I don't like that part. But I think we do need more information before we say yes or no.
Mr. Johnson? Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Rubel.
I was trying to clear my throat. I was going to say she's fired, but that might just be my background. So in the picture of everything, I feel like there's some information missing for me to agree on this. I think there's parts of it, and I think we've all said the parts that need to come out. But I do like the part, you guys know I'm a team player. I do like the part, if there is a player that is not up to par, there needs to be a way to get rid of that person, to either make them step up to the plate or to back them down. So I do like that factor, but I do want a little bit more information.
Mr. Johnson?
Madam Mayor, may I move that we table this for 1 week to get the benefits set and then represent this at the next city council meeting?
Second that motion.
So that's a motion to postpone
Yes.
next city council meeting.
Okay. Motion to postpone was made by Mr. Johnson, seconded by Mr. Graham. Is there discussion on that?
The reason for this would be to actually clarify and establish the benefits and to make sure that the organizational structure actually solves the issues that are intended, because I hear that coming from multiple people, including myself.
Can I provide one point of clarity?
Yes.
Just on the organizational structure and some of the comments that have been made, I just want to be clear that the term confidential, managerial, confidential is a term of art. It's not speaking to necessarily specific. We're not walking through and seeing how much confidential material somebody touches in their job. It's just part of this cabinet notion that you're creating a group of people who are at will. They do serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And this list varies across communities. I just wanted you to have that context. People put different positions in and out. depending on size and demands on these different departments and the kind of role, to Councilmember Vlock's point, depending on your job, you just may fall into that range. So I just wanted to provide context.
All right, the motion on the floor is to,
Madam Mayor, I wanted to follow up on the postponement and the bringing forward of more information so that a sound decision can be made. I do think it would be appropriate for us to review the job description for the city planner and see what it is somehow that makes the administration think that this person can't be disciplined or can't be relieved of their duties through normal channels as opposed to just being let go by the mayor, and to find out exactly what we're doing here, and to give a little bit of background here. The planner is an important piece of continuity for the city. I don't think you want to have the same planner in place for 40 years or anything like that, but the planner is the one who enforces the code. The planner doesn't change the code, and the mayor doesn't change the code. The council is the only one that changes the code. So even though the mayor can and has replaced the chief of police, can and has replaced the recreational services director, can and has replaced the finance director, can and has replaced the public works director, I think if we add the city planner to that list of folks that the mayor can replace essentially at will, I don't think we're providing that continuity that we need, that we have put forward at this dais through the code to be there. I mean, the code is the code, and there's very little room for interpretation there, and without seeing, taking a good look at the job description and hearing instances, or I won't say instances, but potential areas where the planner could go around the code. I just don't think we're ready to deal with this at this point.
okay, the motion on the floor is to postpone. Oh, Simon, you got it, you want to weigh in?
You say no, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I did not understand you.
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the motion that's on the floor is to postpone until the next council meeting, getting further information. So,
Is there any objection?
is there any objection to that motion? Okay. Maybe we could go through this. We go back to the- No, we don't. All right.
Now, what date is it postponed until?
23rd.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the ordinance title.
Thank you. Second public hearing this evening, ordinance serial number 2322, amending the fiscal year 2024 budget by appropriating $45,170 from the general fund balance for additional professional services, temporary wages, and legal fees for the finance department due to a position vacancy covered by the Family and Medical Leave Act.
Public hearing on ordinance serial number 2322 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments is limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2322?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve ordinance 2322.
Okay, is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been made by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to adopt ordinance serial number 2322. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Johnson.
having worked at managing people, particularly those who need the family Leave Act. I really respect the need for such kind of flexibility, even if it means increased spending on the part of the employer. So in that respect, I am definitely for this and want to offer any additional support that we can to the individual affected by this. That being said, I would also like to encourage the administration to look at the funding of the money as sort of a, not necessarily a flexible, but if there is any options to reduce that you would take time to do that, so we don't just necessarily spend this as a blank check, if you will. Okay? That's my comment. So I will support it with that kind of an understanding.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Graham?
just some clarification from the administration on this. So this position is to support the finance department, which has, is losing, temporarily losing a senior employee. And it's my understanding that the person to fill this has already been chosen. So the question would be, is this going to go out to bid? Or are we going to take this to a funding or to a temporary agency? Or are we just going to hire off the street? What's the plan for filling this $120 an hour job?
Councilmember Graham, through the mayor. So we have procured services from, as stated by Colleen Leonard Sullivan, a former finance director with the city, to help us get ready, prepared for our audit. This was not it was 80 hours of services, and we did it through within the budget that we had. Obviously, I won't be going to training, so we shuffled funds to try and make that happen. And this, will all the professional services be used with that individual, that firm? Not necessarily. We have our auditing firm that can provide certain management consulting. They do have to be careful because they are an independent, they need to issue an opinion. So they need to maintain certain independence. So they are not, they can't provide all our services. And this amount is really to help the staff that are very underexperienced. We have a controller who hasn't been there for a year. We have 2 staff accountants that between them, one has been there for 7 months, one has been there for a month. And so it's really to ensure that the city moves forward as it should when there's a vacancy. The thought is sort of that this could be somewhat fluid, right? I don't, when we look at temporary wages, we know that there are individuals that have worked for the city. Deborah Davis was a former staff accountant that came, has been willing to come back. Maybe that's not the right fit. Maybe the finance department team decides we're going to do overtime to help fill some gaps, or we're going to pick up some of the, the larger, the more difficult pieces, and then maybe we can get a temp to do the filing, the copying, some of the menial. But to give them some flexibility in how their needs will be met. But I do know for sure that what they do need is someone with some executive level experience to be the sounding board, to help with all those things they just simply don't have experience with. And so it's really, in my mind, a bit of an ebb and flow as to what they will need when I am not present. I'm looking like that maybe didn't answer your question.
That was a very nice answer, but it did not answer the question. The question is have we already decided who, when I say we, has the administration already decided who is going to fill this position, and was there an opportunity for persons to bid on this position.
So we completed a sole source form for this procurement of the initial 80 hours. Obviously, transition, understanding of our current operations and the speed at which somebody can be brought on board was the importance there. And that really was the reason for a sole source for the 80 hours. Will we even have, at this point, it's an iterative. So do we know if we need 300 hours? We don't know that yet. This is a very fluid process. I mean, it just really is not cut and dry where you're gonna have a vacancy from, this date to that date and everything in between. So that's been our approach. So no, there has not been, it did not go out to bid. We procured 80 hours and would move forward on what the needs of the department were.
If I may follow up, Madam Mayor. So, thank you for the answer. That was the answer that I was seeking, which, I wasn't looking to criticize or anything. I'm just trying to find out what process are we using to fill this position, and I am going to support this ordinance. However, I don't think I will be supporting anything in the future that supports a position of $250,000 a year, which is $120 an hour works out to. So let's make sure we get a lot of bang for our buck out of this and get caught up. So, thank you.
I would say that CFO.com is going for like $170 an hour. So,
welcome to Wasilla.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please take a roll call vote on the motion.
Thank you. And so Councilmember Sullivan-Leonard is recused. Councilmember Graham, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Councilmember Vlock?
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously with Councilmembers Graham, Johnson, Brown, Vlock, and Rubio in support.
We are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. And the first one is Eileen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council members. So for Wasilla Area Seniors Incorporated happenings, we have our annual membership meeting on October 17th at 12:45, where we will vote for our new board members and say goodbye to members who are reaching the end of their term. We are currently taking early voting. You can contact WASI if you cannot attend the meeting and you would like to vote. Our Halloween Spooktacular Costume Party will be on October 31st, and we will be featuring goulash for lunch, scary veggies, and worms on brains for dessert. It's time for our My Oh My It's Pie. You can help support WASI seniors this year by sharing a pie with family or by donating a pie to a senior. We will have apple, pumpkin, pecan, or a surprise pie available for $30. And we are taking orders with pickup on November 16th. You can also support this event, this fundraiser, by donating items for the online auction, which will take place beginning on November 4th and will end on November 17th at 5 p.m. We will gift cards, experiences. If you have something in your closet that you're not using that might be something that would be a treasure to someone else, we would accept that donation. There's also sponsorship available at the levels of $100, $250, $500, $1,000, and $2,500. And mark your calendars, on November 4th is our Wazi Craft Fair, great time to support local and find that perfect gift for someone you love or yourself. And that's it for me for this month. Thank you.
Mayor Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor Ledford, council members, staff. My name is Mary Robinson, city resident, and full disclosure, I also work 20 hours a week at the Wasilla Public Library. I did want to say one thing, but this caught my eye, and I just say I wholeheartedly applaud the partnership events with the Greater Wasilla Chamber of Commerce, the priorities to improve community connections to promote resident well-being. And as you all know, I love the library. I volunteer there, I work there, I'm a regular patron, and I do believe the library helps promote resident well-being. Jeannie Trushinsky, I'm sure, as president of the Friends, will be telling you a little bit about some of the events. But we had a author event with Heather Lundy, who is the Alaska State Writer Laureate, brought about 50 people to the library last Wednesday, and very well received. A lot of people from Anchorage, and they oohed and awed over the library and how nice Wasilla looked and what a great job we did, and so yay us. But the reason I came this evening is I wanted to say thank you to Council Member Simon Brown. Never really got to know him, but I always found him to be thoughtful, articulate, intelligent. He seemed to prove himself to be an ally of the library, so again, he's tops in my book, if anybody that supports the library. So I just wanted to say, Mr. Brown, thank you for your service on the council, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Jeannie Trushinsky.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Jeannie Trushinsky, I'm president of the Friends of Wasilla Library. We've had lots of things going on. This last Monday, we had our first Novel Knitters Club meeting, and from 4 to 5 on the first Monday of the month, we knit by the fireplace, and we had a great turnout of people that wanted to learn how to knit and people that were knitting and just knitted and visited. And then we followed that with our Fireside Book Club. We discussed the Lincoln Highway. We had one of our best discussions ever for book club. It's really a fascinating book. This next month, we're going to read The Wicked Ones, which is the story of Cinderella's sisters and what drove them to be so mean to her. And it's a really fun story. And that's on November 6th, 5 to 6. Everybody's always welcome at the book club. Story times have resumed. The staff always takes a little break after summer reading, but we're back to baby lap sit and toddler story times. We just finished our bookmark contest for the youth, and kids in grades K through 12 illustrate bookmarks, and the winners are chosen and are copied off, and we'll have those at the front desk when you check out your books. We just started a spooky writing contest for students in grades 1 through 12, and that's always a really popular thing, and we had some really fun stories last year. Our next book sale is this Saturday from 1 to 4, $5 a bag of books. The Story Walk Trick or Treat is going to be October 21st, and we thought this would be a really fun way to get some more people involved in the Story Walk. So we'll have the story in there and encourage families to walk and trick or treat and read the Story Walk. And on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day, we're going to have a silent auction, and Aaron Leggett will be there. He's an archivist from the Anchorage Anchorage Museum, and he is the CEO of the Eklutna tribe, and he has all kinds of specialties in Alaska history, and so he's going to do a presentation that night, and we're going to have some more of our books that we received as donations from the Rasmussen Library on silent auction. So we hope that a lot of people show up, and it'll be a really awesome evening, especially if you love history.
What night was that, Gene?
December 7th.
Thank you.
Pearl Harbor night.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Mayor Ledford, City Council, Danielle Bischoff. I just wanted to thank the council for listening to public comment and postponing ordinance number 2321 while seeking further information. I greatly appreciate that. I also wanted to thank the city clerk's office for conducting an election. I know a tremendous amount of work goes on behind the scenes that people do not see, and thank you for always conducting that. And then finally, I wanted to thank Councilmember Brown for his service. I believe that the city of Wasilla has benefited greatly from you holding your seat, Mr. Brown. You show patience and persistence in your approach. You come prepared to meetings with thoughtful questions, an approach that exhibits respect towards council, administration, and staff. I want to thank you for all of the work that you have done and congratulate you on everything you've accomplished. Your introduction of the Code of Ethics and was no small or short undertaking, and I congratulate you on its adoption. This is just one example of the work that you've accomplished that'll leave a lasting positive impact on the city of Wasilla. You'll be missed, and you leave some very big shoes to be filled. So thank you.
Is there anyone else? Seeing no one, we will close persons to be heard, and we are now at the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have 2 items left on our consent agenda. The first is approval of the regular meeting minutes, September 25th, 2023, and action memorandum 2350, contract award to Alaska Communications Services in the amount of $75,226.67 for the purchase of the citywide telephone system upgrade.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second that.
It's been moved by Councilmember Colleen Sullivan-Leonard and seconded by Councilmember Velock to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. And we are now, there's no unfinished business, so we are now at new business. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. First item of business is resolution serial number 2335, certifying the results of the October 3rd, 2023 regular election.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move to certify the results of the October 3rd, 2023 regular election.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second that.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Velock to approve the resolution serial number 2335. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, this might sound funny, but is it appropriate that I would even participate in that?
Yep.
Okay.
Hearing no discussion, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, it is approved. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I'll take the next items in order if there's no objection from the body. So this is introduction of ordinance serial number 2324, amending the fiscal year 2024 budget by appropriating funds from the Curtis Menard Memorial Sports Center fund balance in the amount of $60,593.58 for the emergency repairs and replacement of R22 refrigerant used by the ice rink refrigeration system. This is recommended public hearing for October 23rd, 2023.
Is there a motion for ordinance serial number 2324 for public hearing?
Madam Mayor, I move we set a public hearing for ordinance serial number 2324 for October 23rd of this year.
Is there a second?
Second, by Councilman Johnson.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to recommend the public hearing to October 23rd, 2023. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only reason I brought this up is because I'd like to see a little bit better definition on the staff report as far as the, we're calling this emergency repairs, but it looks like we're actually transferring, we're paying for those repairs and then putting some money aside for future repairs into a kitty. So I would just like to get the staff report a little bit better fleshed out for next week. Thank you.
Director Bell.
And just asking for next week, since we're just looking at setting a public hearing. If you would like to reply, that's fine.
Okay.
Through the mayor, Councilmember Grimp. So basically, we have an existing operating budget, of which in that line item, $12,500 was kind of set aside for R22 refrigerant replacement and or problems. The line item repair and maintenance was $45,000. This leak, as its own standalone, or the two leaks, cost $60,000. So it's basically taking money from our general Menard fund to cover so that we can still do other repairs that may come throughout the year. So hopefully that helps.
So, yeah, if at the introduction for the staff report, you could revise it to show that how much money is left for repairs during the continuation of the fiscal year. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. Next item for approval, AM number 2349, contract award to Yukon Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $239,759 for the purchase of a MT7 trackless snowblower with attachments for the Parks Department.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the AM 2349?
Madam Mayor, I move AM number 2349.
Is there a second?
Second by Councilman Johnson.
The motion has been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to approve AM number 2349. Is there discussion? Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A question for our Public Works Director. Number one, the maintenance of the non-highway tracks, so to speak, the public non-motorized tracks is certainly important and certainly something that we haven't been very good at because we don't, part of it because we just don't coordinate with the DOT. I mean, once we get the walkways clear, they come by and plow onto them and we're kind of gone from there. So this will certainly be make it easier to come back and do that. My question, as usually relates to your department, is are we growing your department to do this? Are we putting additional work on the department by having this there? Because right now it seems that when the walkways get plowed over, if they've already been cleared, we say, well, they've already been cleared and we leave them there. So are we going to adopt a new standard for clearing sidewalks and bike paths, that sort of thing? Or is this just to make it more efficient on the times that we do it? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Through the mayor. So this is a very versatile machine. It will make us more efficient. It also improves the interface between parks and roads to alleviate those instances where roads comes by and plows onto a cleared sidewalk or path that Parks has already used. This has been identified as an asset that Parks and Roads have been desiring for a few years now. And so staff, both Parks and Roads, have worked together to outfit this piece of equipment to be as versatile as possible. So it has multiple summer uses and multiple winter uses. And we are looking for efficiency out of that. That should provide a better return on investment for our labor and also improve the residents' perception of our maintenance during summer and winter.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Is there other discussion? Colleen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just, Eric, if you could remind me, didn't we have this discussion when we went through our budget this last year? This isn't new, correct?
This is budgeted for, correct. We did talk about this last budget round.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's not new, it's needed, it's in the CIP, so we're right on course. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Johnson?
So, right now, this is a new piece of equipment that we're not replacing an old piece of equipment. So are we going to be using this equipment, say, to like plow for passengers going on and off the railroad when it starts stopping at the new location in January?
This piece of machinery is new. It would offset several other pieces of machinery. This is a dedicated piece of equipment that fits well on sidewalks. You probably have seen the state DOT drive these in Anchorage. I'm not sure if they have them out here. Very versatile for pedestrian pathways. So some of the features allow for loading trucks. So we have an extended boom in this purchase item to load the snow into a truck directly and not broadcast it if we can't do that. It has summer features as well for both spreading fertilizer and also aerating lawns. The parks and roads maintenance supervisors have a plan to utilize it to its full stability. So you'll see it in multiple places this winter, when winter arrives, hopefully this winter, around the city.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay. Madam Clerk, please read the items under communications by title.
Thank you. Item number 2318, monthly financial reports for the period ending August 31st, 2023, to include the month-to-date expenditure report and disbursements greater than $10,000. Item number 2319, presenting the approval of the City of Wasilla's 2023 Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy by the Economic Development Administration's Office. And lastly, item number 2320, report of partnership events with the Greater Wasilla Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, thank you. We are now at audience comments, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council at this time? Seeing no one, we will close audience comments and bring it back to the dais. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to start by saying to Councilmember Brown, what an honor and a privilege it has been serving with you. I will miss you and I wish you all the best. And then just next regular meeting, October 23rd, we'll see you all here.
Okay. Madam Attorney.
To say I don't have much to report, but I will follow up as far as more information on the managerial classified ordinance for next time.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to add on to what our city clerk and former employees have said. Councilmember Brown, it's been a pleasure serving with you. Certainly bring a wise approach to government, and I appreciate everything that you've done. Obviously, you and I haven't agreed on everything, but I can't think of anybody up here at the dais that agrees with me all the time. And I certainly can't think of anybody in the staff that agrees with me all the time either. So, but I appreciate everything that you've done, and I appreciate the back and forth and the ability to reason things out and to work together to make things happen. Also wanted to say I really appreciate people being here today and people commenting on a proposed ordinance. Things happen kind of quick in city government. It gets introduced one week and then gets approved the next week with essentially just one option for public comment there. So unless it gets extended. So making sure that we have adequate time for review, not just from the council, but from the city is important as well. And then for the Wasilla Chamber of Commerce, I've been a member of that chamber for 20 plus years. But I did have a question, and I realize this isn't a question and answer time, but I would like to know from the administration and perhaps from the chamber as well. Was the chamber involved in the 4th of July festivities this year, and that would be more a question for the administration and for the chamber. I just noticed on your memo that you sent us, you had 2 entries for post clicks. One says post clicks 490, one says post clicks 46. So if you're going to stick around afterwards, if I could find out what the difference is between those, I would appreciate that. And as always, appreciate the opportunity to serve, appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Simon, for your service. I appreciate your participation and your comments, particularly in some of your subcommittees that I know that you worked very hard on. So thank you very much, and best wishes to you in the future. Other than that, no comments.
Councilmember Rubio.
I gotta jump on the Simon bandwagon for sure. Simon, thank you for your service to our city. You will be missed by all, as you can tell. Keep in touch. If you don't, you know, I'll harass you a little bit. Other than that, no comments.
Councilmember Velock.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I too am going to miss Simon. Simon, it has been a pleasure serving with you and getting to know you. And you are a voice of reason. And, you just don't play devil's advocate or just decide to jump on the other side for the heck of it, or just talk to hear yourself talk. And I've learned a lot from you, and I appreciate you, and I'm very thankful you did serve the city of Wasilla. And hopefully you will go back to the Planning Commission, because I know you really liked that and did an awesome job. So thanks again, Simon. And other than that, nothing, Mayor.
Councilmember Sullivan-Leonard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first of all, I would love to thank Councilmember Simon Brown for his years of dedication, not only here on City Council, but also on the Planning Commission, and to echo my colleagues' sentiments. Now that there's an opening on Planning Commission, it might be great if you would be considering that position as well. So anyway, best of luck, Simon. We really appreciate all that you've brought to the table. Madam Mayor, I've got a couple things I want to convey this evening. First of all, with regard to our elections, our turnout, if I am correct, Ms. Jamie, was 8.3%. I don't know what we can do to get those percentages up, but gosh, it's just really hard when you get that call and they said, hey, you won by 62%, and okay, well, how many votes was that? 220. And so, it is what it is. We're a small town, and there's a bit of voter apathy, I think, out there. But I had a question for Jamie with regard to the change from location for the precinct from the Wasilla Center to the Menard Center. Has there been a difference then with kind of the count on votes that way? Have you seen a significant difference in that?
Through the chair to Councilmember Sullivan-Leonard. No, I haven't seen a significant decrease, so to speak, but what we did see was a lot more people question voting here at City Hall.
Yeah.
I think it's just more convenient for a lot of people. They're maybe checking their mail at the post office or picking up kids from school. So we definitely saw a lot more question ballots at City Hall from city residents.
And you didn't see a change at Menard Center then for questionable ballots, just here at City Hall?
Yeah, Menard Center, folks that were normally assigned to vote at Menard Center seem to vote here. So then hence it would be a question ballot.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet. And then last, I just wanted to say thank you for the folks that have come today to offer testimony and also an update on what's happening at WASI or other entities across the city. And if people do want to provide testimony, there's many ways to do it. Not only on our agenda. On our agenda, we have 3 different spots that people can provide testimony on particular ordinances or resolutions. But honestly, by email, phone call, or letter, however you wish to communicate with council, it's very much appreciated. And with that, thank you, Madam Mayor, and congratulations to you, and congratulations to Ian on his real fine race, and look forward to serving with him here soon. Thank you, Ian.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, to all the voters who are for that citizens come out and vote for them, you voted for it. Thank you for that. For those who supported you, thank you very much. To the mayor and to the council, I thank you. The members of me, I've learned a lot from each one of you, and I hope that you all continue to put Wasilla first. And I won't be in the council, I'm not going to this. I love Wasilla. So thanks everyone else, and it's confirmed.
Thank you, Simon. I too would like to offer my heartfelt thanks for where you have served our city council, where you've served on planning commission, and I hope you will come back to planning commission. So you've always been a voice of reason, and I greatly appreciated that. So I look forward to seeing you on the planning commission, and who knows what's down the road, Simon? You know, Arctic Winter Games is coming, so we're gonna see, and all this other stuff that you do. But we definitely appreciate you, and we are thankful for the service you have given to this city. So, thank you, Simon. And just call me, I'll put you on planning. So, anyway, as you guys all know, Wassie's having their My Oh My, It's Pie, you know. They are really stretched thin over there now. So, all we can do to help them will be greatly appreciated, because they are serving more meals now than they have ever served in the previous times. So anything that you could do, you know, clean your closet out. Somebody's bound to want something you got. So, and Wassie can make some money on it. But to the council, thank you for your time. The election, I am truthfully glad it's over. This has been the most stressful campaign I've ever had in my life, so I'm truthfully glad it is over. And Ian, congratulations. I look forward to working with you till we can continue to move the city forward. And to the directors, thank you for your time, your service, because without you guys, we would be in a world of hurt. So I appreciate you, and thank you. With no further business at hand, I'm adjourning the meeting unless objection is raised. Hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned at 7:12 p.m.